Did you know that every 6 minutes, an older adult is diagnosed with cognitive decline that could have been prevented? It is a chilling statistic, but behind that number is a grandmother who may no longer recognize her grandchildren, a father who forgets the way home, a life slowly fading from within. The most disturbing part, and the reason I speak to you today with a rare sense of urgency, is that new research shows these tragedies are not only the result of genetics or the passage of time. They are also linked to what we place on our plates every single day. Ordinary foods, perhaps already in your kitchen, eaten with good intentions, may carry hidden dangers that science is only now revealing in alarming ways. If you are over 60 or caring for aging parents, I invite you to stay with me. I am not exaggerating when I say what follows could mean the difference between aging with clear memory or slipping into a painful dependence that erodes identity. One of these foods, something as seemingly harmless as a daily glass of milk, has been shown to significantly increase, in some cases even triple, the risk of developing Alzheimer's disease or dementia. Today, I will reveal 4 foods that quietly threaten the aging brain. More importantly, I will share safer alternatives that you can discuss with your doctor and family. The final food on this list is the most surprising and, to be honest, the one that angers me the most. Join me, because knowledge is not just power. In this case, knowledge is your strongest protection. But before we open that list, let's understand what Alzheimer's disease truly is and why food can act as a spark that fuels its hidden fire in the brain. Imagine your brain as a great library. Every neuron is a book, holding a story, a memory, a lesson. Your arteries are the passageways through which oxygen and nutrients travel, fueling this priceless collection. Alzheimer's begins when tiny, silent fires ignite within that library. These fires come in the form of toxic protein buildups, chronic inflammation, and insulin resistance within the brain. They do not destroy an entire book instantly. Instead, they burn away page by page until whole shelves of memory are reduced to ashes. This is where certain everyday foods come in. For years, we thought they were harmless. In reality, they act like gasoline poured onto those fires. The danger grows greater as we age. Think of your brain as an old but powerful computer. It holds immense wisdom, yet its hardware becomes more fragile. Over time, your digestive system also loses its ability to manage harmful fats, excess sugars, and the chemical additives found in ultra-processed foods. Each unhealthy meal acts like a computer virus, overloading the system and corrupting priceless files. The cruelest part is that this destruction happens silently, with no warning signs, until one day it is too late. With that image in mind, let us now step into the pantry and uncover the hidden threats within. These are the foods every older adult and every family needs to know about. Part 1. The innocent offender, added sugar and sweetened beverages. The first group of foods is likely the most common in nearly every household. Added sugars and sweetened drinks of all kinds. This includes sodas, bottled juices, pastries, cookies, and packaged desserts. Familiar, isn't it? They are the quick fix for a craving, the partner to an afternoon coffee, or the little treat we share at family gatherings. We buy them without hesitation, pass them to grandchildren, and consume them almost like candy, convinced they are harmless. But their danger lies in their deceptive appearance of innocence. The connection between high sugar intake and cognitive decline is no longer a fringe theory. It is now at the center of neurological research. The problem extends beyond soda and sweets to refined carbohydrates such as white bread, pasta, and white rice, all of which the body rapidly converts into glucose. When we eat these foods, our blood sugar spikes repeatedly. Glucose molecules randomly attach themselves to proteins and fats in a process called glycation. This produces harmful compounds known as advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. In the brain, AGEs are especially destructive. They cross-link proteins, making them stiff and dysfunctional. A 2015 study published in the journal Diabetes found that higher levels of AGEs were directly associated with faster cognitive decline. These compounds fuel oxidative stress and chronic inflammation, and they are present in the amyloid plaques and neurofibrillary tangles that are hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease. The brain also relies on an enzyme called insulin-degrading enzyme, or IDE, to clear away both excess insulin and beta-amyloid proteins that form plaques. But when a high-sugar diet leads to chronic hyperinsulinemia, meaning elevated insulin levels, IDE becomes overloaded with insulin removal. As a result, its secondary task of clearing beta-amyloid is neglected. Toxic proteins then accumulate, increasing plaque formation. This creates a direct biochemical pathway between sugar-rich diets and the physical progression of Alzheimer's disease. The Alzheimer's Association often highlights the heart-brain connection, showing how risk factors for heart disease and stroke, such as obesity and type 2 diabetes, both closely tied to high sugar intake, also increase the likelihood of cognitive decline. Their advice is clear: limiting sugar protects not only your blood vessels, but also your brain. The sequence unfolds in 3 ways. First is insulin resistance in the brain. Think of insulin as a key that unlocks the door for glucose, the brain's main fuel, to enter neurons. With too much sugar, the locks corrode and stop working. The brain starves for energy even while surrounded by it. Some scientists call this phenomenon type 3 diabetes, a driving force behind Alzheimer's disease. Second is chronic inflammation. Every soda or sugary snack spikes blood sugar, and the body responds by releasing free radicals and inflammatory cytokines. These not only damage blood vessels, but also inflame brain tissue. It is like tiny fires burning within the library of your mind, slowly consuming its pages. Third is the buildup of beta-amyloid plaques. Excess blood sugar disrupts protein metabolism in the brain, encouraging these toxic plaques to form. Each dessert, each can of soda, silently builds an environment where these plaques thrive. Consider the story of Robert, a 68-year-old retiree who enjoyed hosting card nights with friends. He always served soda and sweet cookies, telling himself, "It's just a small indulgence, I've earned it." He carried a little extra weight and had mildly high blood pressure, which he thought was normal for his age. What he did not know was that every glass of soda was feeding insulin resistance in his brain. Over time, he began forgetting names and repeating old stories. His friends brushed it off as simple forgetfulness. 2 years later, he was diagnosed with early-onset Alzheimer's disease. The foundation for his illness had been quietly laid over many years, one harmless sip at a time. So what should we do? Must we live without sweetness forever? Absolutely not. The key is strategy, not deprivation. The first step is awareness. Ask yourself, how much sugar do I actually consume each day? Not only the spoon in your coffee, but also the hidden sugars in flavored yogurt, sandwich bread, or breakfast cereals. The goal is to reduce sugar to the lowest possible level, because the brain does not need added sugar to function. What are the alternatives? Water remains the safest and most effective choice. If giving up soda feels difficult, start with sparkling water and a splash of lemon. If you crave sweetness, choose whole fruits: an apple, a handful of grapes, an orange. Natural fructose in fruit comes with fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants that shield the brain rather than harm it. Never underestimate the power of small changes. Replacing a daily soda with water can mean the difference between a fading memory and a mind that stays sharp. Cutting sugar in your coffee by half is already a major step for brain health. The goal is not prohibition, but protection. It is not about refusing a slice of birthday cake forever. It is about refusing to make sugar your daily companion. Understanding this gives you the power to make the right choices, and those choices may protect your brain for years to come. Part 2, The silent risk in everyday pleasures, trans fats, and processed fats. Now let us turn to the second group. Few people talk about this one in relation to Alzheimer's disease, which makes it all the more dangerous. Industrial trans fats, found in partially hydrogenated oils, were once common in processed foods. Though now banned or strictly limited in many countries, they still exist in certain products and have left behind decades of damage. These fats target a very familiar weakness: convenience, the need for something quick, tasty, and effortless. The solution often comes in the form of a bag of cookies or chips, a packaged pastry, or a frozen pizza ready to heat. Behind that addictive flavor, however, lurks an invisible enemy: trans fats and processed fats. They promise satisfaction and energy, and in the short term, they deliver. But what most people are not told is their direct link to brain health. To understand this, picture the membrane of a neuron. Imagine each brain cell wrapped in a protective fatty layer. This membrane is not a rigid wall. It is a fluid, flexible structure made of fats. That fluidity is essential for receptors to function and for neurotransmitters to send signals effectively. The quality of this fatty layer is vital for memory, learning, and cognitive performance. Now imagine replacing high-quality building material with trans fats, the cheapest, hardest, and most unstable fats available. It is like trying to build a house wall out of wet cardboard. Trans fats have a stiff, straight structure compared to the natural, curved form of healthy, unsaturated fats. When trans fats are incorporated into neuronal membranes, they make them brittle and rigid. The result is reduced flexibility, disrupted communication, and weakened ability to repair damage. Signal transmission slows down, cognitive processing lags, and the brain loses some of its capacity to form new neural connections, a property known as neuroplasticity. The first and most well-documented effect is progressive cognitive decline. Research has shown that diets high in trans fats are linked with a higher risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. Symptoms often begin with mild forgetfulness, confusion, or mental fog. People dismiss it as normal aging, never suspecting that the morning margarine or the daily cookie is dimming the lights of their brain. But the danger does not stop there. These fats also intensify brain inflammation. Each packaged pastry is like a spark falling onto dry ground. At first you may not notice, but over time the fires will grow. In addition, trans fats alter cholesterol levels, raising LDL, often called bad cholesterol, while lowering HDL, the good cholesterol. This accelerates atherosclerosis and reduces blood flow to the brain. With less oxygen and fewer nutrients, neurons are more likely to die early. Let me share the story of Mary, a 75-year-old widow who always kept an active lifestyle. Every morning, she spread margarine on her toast and enjoyed a sweet pastry with her coffee. She disliked cooking, so processed meals became her routine. Over the months, her daughters noticed she was becoming increasingly forgetful, asking the same questions again and again in a single afternoon. They assumed it was simply age. Then one day, in the middle of a conversation, her mind went blank, and she could not recognize her longtime neighbor. The diagnosis was early-stage Alzheimer's disease. When doctors reviewed her habits, the connection became clear. The trans fats she thought were harmless had been silently eroding her brain. Mary's story is a wake-up call. If you rely on industrial foods daily, it is time to act. This does not mean eliminating everything overnight, but rather identifying the worst offenders. Always read labels carefully. If you see partially hydrogenated oil or hydrogenated vegetable fat, keep those products out of your kitchen. The important question to ask yourself is, are there safer alternatives? The answer is yes. Replace margarine with extra virgin olive oil. Swap packaged pastries for a handful of walnuts or almonds. Use real butter on toast rather than processed spreads. And never forget that alternatives extend beyond food. Move your body more, cook at home even with simple meals, and learn to prepare quick, natural snacks. Plain yogurt with fruit, carrots with hummus, or a slice of whole grain bread with olive oil. Every choice matters. Alzheimer's disease does not appear overnight. It builds over years, and trans fats are one of the key ingredients in that destructive recipe. By changing what you eat, you have the power to protect your memory. Part 3, the wonder of flavor with a dark side, processed red meat and cold cuts. The third group of foods is often considered a delicacy, a staple of tradition and family meals. I am speaking of processed red meats and cold cuts, sausages, packaged ham, mortadella, salami, and bacon. Who has not enjoyed a quick sandwich or the warmth of a family cookout? Their flavors are strong, their aromas stir memories, and this is why it feels so difficult to think of them as dangerous. Yet the very strength that makes them irresistible also comes with a hidden cost, especially when eaten over many years. Frequent consumption of cold cuts and processed meats is like signing a silent contract with consequences. They bring instant pleasure, but the price paid by the brain is immense. One of the most serious outcomes is a sharply higher risk of Alzheimer's disease. These foods do not attack on just one level. They launch a multi-front assault that undermines the brain's defenses. I call it the triple threat of processed meats. The first threat comes from excess nitrates and nitrites, preservatives added to enhance color and extend shelf life. Inside the body, they convert into nitrosamines, compounds highly toxic to brain cells. These chemicals can directly damage neurons and promote the buildup of abnormal proteins associated with Alzheimer's disease. The second threat is widespread inflammation. Processed meats are rich in saturated fats and, in many cases, trans fats. These create an inflammatory environment in the body. Chronic inflammation, as you now know, is like a fire burning through the library of your memories. Each sandwich with cold cuts is another match thrown onto that fire. The third threat is disruption of the gut microbiome. The connection between gut health and brain health is one of the most active fields in medical research today, with the National Institute on Aging funding key studies. A diet heavy in processed meats alters gut bacteria, making it easier for microbes to convert L-carnitine and choline abundant in these meats into a compound called trimethylamine N-oxide, or TMAO. High levels of TMAO are strongly linked to inflammation and atherosclerosis. Recent research also suggests that TMAO can weaken the blood-brain barrier, allowing inflammatory molecules to enter the brain more freely. And finally, there is iron overload from heme iron. While iron is essential, the heme iron in red and processed meats can, when consumed in excess, trigger oxidative stress. The brain is especially vulnerable to this type of stress. Surplus heme iron can catalyze the Fenton reaction, producing hydroxyl-free radicals, some of the most destructive molecules in biology. These radicals damage every component of a neuron, accelerating aging and cell death. Consider the story of James, a 72-year-old man who spent his life working with his hands. He loved starting the day with a sandwich filled with salami and ending it with grilled sausages. "It gives me strength," he said. No one suspected that these daily habits were quietly eroding his brain. Over time, his mood shifted, he misplaced tools in his workshop, and he confused dates. His children eventually brought him to a neurologist. The diagnosis was early-stage Alzheimer's disease. The surprise was overwhelming, but the evidence was clear. His diet, rich in processed meats, had been preparing the ground for decades. So what should we do about foods that feel tied to culture and memory? The answer is not to ban them forever, but to treat them with caution and restraint. Their presence in your diet should be rare, occasional, almost ceremonial. Have an honest conversation with yourself and your family. Do we really need cold cuts at every breakfast? Must every quick dinner involve pizza topped with sausage? The goal is to minimize their role in your meals. Ask yourself, have I explored every safer alternative? The good news is that they exist. For protein, choose fatty fish rich in omega-3s, which protect memory. For breakfast, try avocado, boiled eggs, or nuts. For a quick dinner, reach for beans, hummus, or fresh lean meats that have not been processed. If you do enjoy a slice of ham on a special occasion, balance it with a large salad and water instead of white bread and soda. And most importantly, offset it with healthier meals throughout the week. Every decision matters. Alzheimer's disease does not develop overnight. It is the result of decades of small choices. Seeing processed meats not as a harmless treat, but as a risk that demands moderation, may make the difference between a mind that continues to carry its history and one that fades too soon. Part 4. The socially accepted poison. Alcohol and its devastating impact on memory. We now arrive at the fourth and final category. I have saved it for last because it carries the greatest risk, yet it is consumed in one of the most dangerous ways. It is normalized, celebrated, and even encouraged in certain cultures. I am speaking about alcohol. A glass of wine, a beer with friends, or a liqueur after dinner may appear harmless, even sophisticated. Some older studies even portrayed alcohol as beneficial, but the truth we know today is harsh and undeniable. Large-scale imaging research, most notably an Oxford University study with more than 25,000 participants, revealed a clear, linear relationship between alcohol consumption and brain volume. Drinking alcohol directly leads to brain shrinkage, with the most significant effects seen in the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, and the prefrontal cortex, which governs executive functions. There is no safe threshold. Even light to moderate drinking is linked to reduced gray matter in the brain. For the aging brain, alcohol is like playing Russian roulette. Leading health organizations now agree, no amount of alcohol is safe for brain health. Every glass, every sip, increases the risk of cognitive decline and Alzheimer's disease. The problem is that alcohol's damage is both varied and destructive. First, alcohol is directly neurotoxic. It is a solvent that easily crosses the blood-brain barrier. Once inside, it attacks neurons, disrupts communication between them, and damages myelin, the protective sheath surrounding nerve fibers. It is as if someone were tearing random pages out of the library of your mind. Second, alcohol creates serious nutritional deficiencies. It interferes with the absorption of key vitamins vital for memory, including vitamin B1, thiamine, vitamin B12, and folic acid. Without them, neurons lack the essential tools to repair DNA and produce neurotransmitters. It is like asking a mechanic to fix an engine without providing any parts. Third, alcohol disrupts sleep cycles, which are critical for brain function. During deep sleep, the glymphatic system clears toxins that build up during the day. Elevated blood alcohol levels interrupt this process, allowing beta amyloid and tau proteins, both central to Alzheimer's disease, to accumulate. And fourth, alcohol fuels metabolic syndrome. It increases belly fat, glucose, and cholesterol, forming the perfect storm for artery damage and reduced blood flow to the brain. Each drink is a step closer to fragile memory. Think of Linda, an 80-year-old woman who had enjoyed her daily glass of wine at lunch since her youth. "It is good for the heart," she often said, trusting what she had once heard on television. Her children assumed it was harmless for her to keep drinking. What no one noticed was her accelerating memory decline. She began repeating herself daily, grew disoriented in her own neighborhood, and one day her son found her staring at her glass, unable to recall whether she had already finished it. The diagnosis was late-stage Alzheimer's disease. What seemed like a small social pleasure had become her silent executioner. This is the hardest yet most important conversation older adults can have with themselves and their families. If you drink regularly, even in moderation, you must protect yourself. Ask firmly, is this glass of alcohol worth my memories? The truth is, alternatives exist. You do not need alcohol to relax or to celebrate. You can explore herbal teas, non-alcoholic cocktails, or sparkling water infused with fruit. You can build traditions around companionship rather than a bottle. Choosing sparkling water with lemon instead of wine may seem small, but it is a revolution for your brain. For older adults, alcohol should only ever be a rare indulgence, minimal and reserved for very special occasions, never a daily habit. The price, too often, is an irreplaceable memory. We have now walked a difficult road together. We have opened the pantry and revealed 4 hidden culprits: sugar and sweetened drinks, the harmless snacks that silently drive insulin resistance in the brain, trans fats and processed fatty foods which turn neuron membranes into brittle cardboard, processed red meats and cold cuts, cultural favorites that carry chemicals and toxins that inflame, and alcohol, the socially accepted poison that rips through memory day after day. So what changes should we make to secure a healthier brain for the years ahead? Part 5, Moving Beyond Avoidance, Building Cognitive Resilience and Brain Health. Knowing what to avoid is only half the journey. The other half is actively building a resilient brain. Researchers at Rush University Medical Center developed the MIND diet, short for Mediterranean Intervention for Neurodegenerative Delay, specifically designed to protect brain health. Their landmark study, published in the journal Alzheimer's and Dementia, found that participants who followed this diet closely had a 53% lower risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. The diet emphasizes 10 brain-healthy food groups: leafy green vegetables, rich in folate, vitamin E, carotenoids, and flavonoids, which protect against oxidative stress. Other vegetables, providing a wide range of vitamins and anti-inflammatory compounds. Berries, especially noted for anthocyanins, powerful antioxidants that cross the blood-brain barrier and improve neural signaling. Nuts, excellent sources of healthy fats, antioxidants, and vitamin E, all of which shield neurons from damage. Olive oil, with its main polyphenol oleocanthal, offering anti-inflammatory effects similar to ibuprofen. Whole grains, fish, beans, poultry, and once considered red wine in moderation. Though recent research has increasingly challenged the safety of alcohol for brain health, newer studies on nutrition and timing also reveal that when you eat can significantly impact brain function by supporting the body's natural repair processes. Your brain runs on a 24-hour biological clock. Late-night eating can disrupt this rhythm, weakening the brain's ability to clear waste and consolidate memories during sleep. Chronic disruption is linked to higher inflammation and poorer cognitive outcomes. Intermittent fasting and autophagy play a role here. Giving the body extended breaks from digestion, for example, fasting overnight for 12 to 16 hours can trigger autophagy, the body's cellular recycling system. In this process, cells clear damaged components, including misfolded proteins like amyloid beta and tau. By promoting autophagy, intermittent fasting may help the brain eliminate toxic debris that contributes to neurodegeneration. A practical tip: aim for a 12-hour overnight fast, such as finishing dinner before 7 p.m. and not eating again until 7 a.m. This simple shift supports natural rhythms and enhances cellular repair. Oral health also deserves attention. Chronic gum disease or periodontitis is caused by bacteria that drive persistent, low-grade inflammation throughout the body. Studies have shown that specific bacteria, such as Porphyromonas gingivalis, can migrate from the mouth to the brain. Once there, they may trigger inflammation and have even been detected in the brains of Alzheimer's patients, possibly contributing to disease progression. A practical tip: maintain strict oral hygiene by brushing twice a day, flossing daily, and visiting the dentist regularly. Treating gum disease is not only about saving teeth, it is about protecting your brain. I ask you for one final thing. If this video has been helpful, please subscribe to Men's Health Advice and do not keep it to yourself. Share it. Send it to your brother who is caring for your mother. Share it in your circle of friends. Let your children watch it. Each time you share, you may prevent a painful diagnosis, a nursing home admission, or a life fading too soon. And please use the comment section. Share your experiences. Do you eat any of these foods daily? Have you noticed changes in your own memory or in your loved ones? Reading your stories enriches us all and builds a community of support that is absolutely essential. Thank you for your time and your attention. Take care of your brain It is the only one you have, and within it live your history, your identity, and everything you love. I will see you next time.